Okay, we are recording.
Hi, my name is Melanie, and today Nilesh and I are going to be discussing light language.
Yeah.
And whether you want to call it star language, cosmic language, universal language, language of the heart, language of love, there are so many names out there for it. But it's basically all the same thing. So I'm going to discuss what happened to me and my journey in hope that this is assistance really for people out there that are going through what I went through, because it is becoming more and more apparent every day that people are speaking it, people are having activations. I did hear of a very funny story that there was a builder, as you can imagine, a really busky big builder, and although he got to be into spirituality or healing, he went for a Reiki session.
Oh, wow.
Had a Reiki session, and ended up speaking light language.
That is brilliant. I can just imagine a big burly builder like talking light language. Amazing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So it just goes to show you that if you have that activation, it's for anybody and everybody. So everybody and anybody, but it is becoming more and more. So I'm going to tell you what happened to me, what was my journey, and how I came to speak the languages and also write them as well. Probably about 4 years ago, I think I came across a video of a lady and speaking a really, really strange language. And for me, it was like, this is ridiculous. It pushed me over the edge where it was like, yes, okay, I've read so much, I've researched so much, I understand the different dimensions, I understand the galactics, I'm quite comfortable with all that. But when this lady started coming out and just sat there speaking what you could only say sounded like gobbledygook, was like, no, this takes it a step too far for me. And that was it. I shut that down. I just thought, no, that's ridiculous. But kept seeing it and kept hearing about people doing it. So probably for the next 2 years, I was then aware of it, of what it was. But it was really, really at the back. I put it in my toolbox and firmly put the lid down and pushed it to the side. So that's where it was. Until when I was over in Cyprus, I lived over in Cyprus, and I was coming back to the UK and ended up watching a video. This is how synchronistic things are. Watching a video of Magenta Pixie and a lady called Shirley Batty, and was so interested in what they were talking about in Shirley. You know what you do, you go on the internet, looked at Shirley. Lo and behold, she was doing a channeling course. Of course, it falls in the time that I'm in the UK and where I am in the UK, an hour away. So I booked on the course, knowing that for some unknown reason, it was important for me to go. Deep down, knew I had got to attend. An utter knowing like you get. So attended the course because I was always interested in channeling, and there was 10 of us. And during the course, each one of us had to bring in, through a lot of meditation and everything, there would be somebody who would connect with them, and each one would bring somebody through. But the whole of the collective of the 10 people were holding the energy and pointing at it at the other one to help them bring that through. So everybody was assisting, which was really good. So as we went round the room, I was more or less the last person. So Shirley got to me and said, because I thought, well, I honestly can't say that I've got anybody. So I'm wondering where this is going and what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets to me and she says, Melanie, she said, you have a very large being above you who wants to come into your body. And she said, it's up to you, obviously, whether you totally allow this. And I said, yes, okay, because we were in a room, it was protected, we were well looked after. So I said, yes. I felt this energy come in and tried to speak. And Shirley kept saying to me, come on, speak, come on, talk. Couldn't talk. Just couldn't say anything. She kept, come on, you've got to say something, you've got to say something. And in the end, it took a while, but I could feel this blockage on my throat, on my chakra here. And she just kept saying, say anything at all. And eventually something released and I came out with this language. And it was a tirade of language. And it went on and on and on and on. It was like like the cork had been taken out of a pop bottle that had been shook up, and it wasn't going to stop. It was quite funny, and I hadn't got a clue. And in the end, because obviously there was 10 people in the room, it was unfair. She had to like stop him. I say him, and she said, because she says, bring the English through. He wasn't having any of it. And even when she went for a name, she said a name. She said, oh, we're going to call you, I can't remember what it was now. We're going to call you something. His name, it was an English name. And I had this huge laugh come through. And he thought it was very funny that she'd picked this name. So the class finished, and I remember my husband picking me up, and he was like, how did that go? Well, yes. It was very interesting. How do you actually explain to your husband what's just happened, that you're speaking this very strange language? And I mean, obviously by that time I knew exactly what it was. And it took me a long time. To be honest, I went home and I just thought it was something that happened there and I wouldn't be able to do it again. Thought it was a one-off thing. But it turned out that if I sat there and stilled myself and concentrated and just opened my mouth, it would come out.
Amazing.
So that was like nearly 2 years ago. But once that happened, then it was like, wow, okay, what on earth do I do with it? What is it for? And
floodgates opened. Yeah,
the floodgates opened, and me gets my researching head on, dives into everything I can possibly find.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and there isn't really an awful lot out there, which was the frustration for me more than anything. So whatever I could get my hands on, I did. But a lot of the time, if I asked questions of people regarding what light language did, the answer was, oh, it's just for healing.
Yeah.
And with me, it was like I had this knowing, and it was like, no, that's not it. Kept asking the question, no, that's not mine. Yeah, okay, that's probably what it does, but that's not what I do. And that was the frustrating thing, was I knew that what I did was for me.
Yeah.
There was a specific reason behind it. And what I was getting when I was asking the question of other people, of what they were saying, it was like, I knew no, it's not. It's not for me. No, it's what's mine. What do I do? Why is I had this ultimate knowing that mine was different. Mine was something else, and it took a lot of getting to the bottom of, huge amount, but I got this ultimate knowing that mine, I kept saying, what was mine for? Why is mine different? And it was a really digging to find that. And the only person that answered that question in the end was me.
I love that.
Yeah, I did full circle.
I love how you look for answers externally and then you find them internally. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I did the full circle. I went out there and picked as much as I could. But in the end, it came back to me, and it was it was the fact of one day I decided to sit down and tune in, and I wrote some questions down and I asked the questions. Brilliant. And I got the answers. And it's one of those things where you think, well, wow, why didn't I do that sooner? But then I believe in divine intervention. I wasn't meant to. I needed to be 18 months, 2 years down the line to have experienced what I experienced, and to get to the fact of actually getting the questions that I got. Yeah. So it's very different for everybody. This is just to say that this is my story. This is my perspective. Obviously, everybody is different out there. So this is me and my story. That's right. So just to help people understand, but everybody's different. There are probably thousands, if not more, people out there across the world who speak these languages, but I'm giving you what I got, what my messages are, and what I do that's been brought in for my sole purpose in this incarnation. So obviously it's specifically to me, but I will also explain across the board as what they've told me, what the guides have told me, as to what my specific frequency of the language does. And it will also explain about, on a general purpose, of what the languages do across the board as well. So I started speaking what I would only class as a language. So many months down the road, I noticed that there are a lot of people out there who write the codes. Yeah. All kinds of different symbols. There are so many different aspects of it. And I honestly believed, I thought it was just something that I spoke. Yeah. I tried to put pen to paper before and sat there and nothing happened.
Frustrating, that is.
Yeah. So I thought, well, okay, it's just some, I can speak it, I can't write it. Yeah. So I mean, you see people signing light language with their hands. It's something that I don't do at the moment. So you never say never.
That's right.
Yeah. So it probably about 6-8 months ago, I suddenly had the urge. It was like, right, okay, now go and get a pad and a pen and sit down and write. And it was like, okay. So I sat down, that was it. Off I went. And the written form of my light language came through, my coding, and it hasn't stopped. I can only say that I am a scribed, and I write codes. And I will give you an example.
Yeah, let's see the example of the codes, definitely.
I will show you to the fact of the codes. It's just codes after codes after codes, and this is what I do. And then from the actual writing of the codes, it went on to, right, okay, now you've done that. And the next thing is you have to paint pictures and you need to put the codes on the top. Okay, so I started painting, and you can probably see some of the pictures at the back. Then it went on to the fact that I ended up being guided, and there were portals, it was spirals. I ended up doing that with the language over the top.
Yeah.
Completely led into what I was doing. So again, no idea at this point in time of what they were really doing and how they really worked, until I got to the stage of right, okay, I need to know, and the only way that I can do this is I'm going to try and ask questions and see if I get any answers. So I sat down and I wrote some questions, and this is the answers that they gave me. So first of all, I said, how does my light language work when in written form someone can hold a piece of paper with light language on it and have an awakening and then speak light language themselves? And I'll explain that at the end of all of this. The answer I got was, it enters directly into their internal blueprint and connects with aspects of the DNA, as in a lock and key scenario. Light meets light, and the awakening occurs. This happens across all multi-dimensionality of their being. All aspects of themselves experience an upgrade in frequency, as does the collective consciousness, and also on a multi-dimensional level. Right, and then I asked, why light language? Light language works within the 5th dimension upwards, unlocking as it goes. You can imagine it as a series of gates, and we have given you a very large bunch of keys. Light language works like a computer program. You are given a piece of code, which opens another piece of code and another piece, and so endless, infinitesimal, they said. Likened to a computer virus, which I questioned at this point. Virus? Really? Do you want me to write that? Yes. A positive form, they said, of the most highest form, of course. This then resets, reboots your entire genetic operating system. I asked, when I write light language, does it have to be for each individual person to activate them? They said the intention creates the key for the individual. It's personal to them. They told me that I write the program and that I hold the master key. I am a master programmer. Intention creates on a personal basis or on a general. It's up to you, meaning me. What you feel you want to create. You have the inner knowing of what's required, and we are also here to guide. What you can do with light language is endless, as you are rewriting DNA. You write the code, but on a quantum level. Then I asked the question, how do my pictures work? They said they work within the multi-dimensional spatial time frame. What? Connecting with inner dimensional portals, upgrading key codes with the human light body, enabling connections and higher dimensional frequencies to connect with our galactic strands of DNA. The energy centers, which we call chakras, are upgrading to higher dimensional portals. Each chakra portal becomes a portal, eventually joining into one high frequency portal. This will assist our light bodies to shift frequencies into the 5th dimension and upwards. Spirals by locating our energy bodies through the portals into alternate dimensions, connecting with the aspects of our oversoul. The spirals are how we move in and through dimensions, through different dimensions, quantum particles aid our interstellar travel, connecting with higher vibrational aspects of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We are going quantum, giving us the ability to time jump interdimensionally.
Mm-hmm.
The more light we can absorb, the more codes we absorb, obtaining more keys, writing codes in order to obtain quantum convergence.
Love that.
So there we
I love
go.
it.
That's asking
Yeah.
the question and getting the answers.
Totally. That was very
And
thorough.
some of the words I
Mm-hmm.
had to look up. And that's when you know that you are actually, it's not you. You are getting the information from somewhere else.
Yeah. That's
Because there were
lovely.
some words in that, and it was at the end of it, it was like, what?
What? Say that again.
Yeah. So when I said at the beginning
Mm.
about the fact of how somebody can just hold them on a piece of paper and have that awakening,
Yeah.
this was a confirmation for me, and also a very big surprise, because at the beginning when I just started writing the language,
Mm.
literally I'd only been doing it probably a week or so. A
Yeah.
friend was having she'd having a birthday,
Yeah.
and on her card I wrote on one side of it, and I just did a few lines of light language, gave her the card, didn't think anything more of it. So a few weeks later, I spoke to her and I said, did you do anything with your language? And she said, yes, actually. She said, I was meditating with it, because I said, just meditate with it.
Yeah.
And she said, yes. She says, I really feel like I'm on the verge of speaking it. I said, really? I said, well, what you need to do after this, after we've finished, go home, meditate with it again. And if you feel it there, just bring it through.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so literally 15 minutes later, I get a phone call. You never guess what? And she literally had just had this most profound experience where the light language came through. But she said she felt this presence, this being in the room who spoke to her and felt like it hugged her. And just amazing. And that blew me away, because I didn't expect that just from me putting it on a piece of paper and her doing what she did with it, that it would have the effect that it did. I had got no idea. So when that happened, that was like, oh wow, huge. Then it was right. Okay, I understand now. And then it wasn't until many months after, when I asked the questions, and that was why one of the questions was how does that happen? How does that work? But through the months, I understand of the fact that it's my frequency.
Yeah.
And I didn't, because there are people out there who speak so many different languages, but we all hold a different frequency. And it's down to the actual, what I call the soul signature of your own frequency, of what you come in with. This can't be changed. You come in with a specific soul signature. And it's dependent on what we would like to call, whether you call it past incarnations, what you've done throughout, how old your soul is, and what you carry as a vibrational signature. And
I kind of agree with that and don't agree with it, because I kind of feel like you're right about the soul signature, but I feel like it's fractalized down. It's a watered down version of the actual real thing.
Yeah.
Because the reality is we can't bring in our own original soul signatures. It would just be too much for this body. So I feel like it's a watered down version of it, for
definitely.
sure. Yeah.
It's like you say, it's as much as we can hold at the moment of what we come into. And like you say, we bring the aspects of our other fractals in when we are going into the fourth and fifth, and we are raising our frequency that way. So, but like you say, you will only, in this 3D dimension, everybody's soul signature is unique to them. And I believe that each and every one, we all resonate at a completely different frequency. And when it talks about the keys and the light that you can take in, that's very much dependent on somebody's soul signature.
Yeah.
You can't take in too much, because the soul itself, the higher self, the oversoul, knows where you're going and how much you need, how much activation you need. You can't ever go beyond your soul signature as we are now. We all have higher aspects, but they're way off in other dimensions. We, that we're only talking about of where we are now. So where my ability is I understand now that I bring in the Metatronic light.
Really?
Yes. And that's been around for a while, but also confirmed with Nilesh as well. To the fact of the codes. That's how I work. I bring in the Metatronic codes, and the codes themselves, as you'll see, when they're written, they hold so much information. What would be 1 inch of writing, if you could literally unspiral it and pull it out, could even be an encyclopedia's worth of information.
Wow.
That's how complex, that's how much information that they hold. And this is
like codes within codes.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what they say. That was the information.
Yeah.
That was keys within keys within keys. It's the codes. And of a geometric structure that some people can see them.
Yeah.
Some people can actually see them. That's what's the light is made up of. Yeah. And again, that's why, and how it affects our light bodies, our DNA, because all of the junk DNA that we are supposedly holding isn't junk DNA, as a lot of us know.
Yeah, that's right.
And those codes are now being woken.
Yeah. And
it is through the aspects of frequency, and that's what these codes are all about.
Frequency, vibration, geometry.
Frequency codes. And whether it be the written form or whether it be the verbal form, because they work on a quantum level, it goes into your light body and goes then and works within the DNA structure of the body. And that's what is constantly upgrading. And that's where we then are holding more light, and therefore our vibration can go higher. So, I mean, another thing that they said to me was that the light codes are for the future of the human structure and then for the DNA, and they bring through upgrades for the future of humanity, helping the light beings to assist the collective. It says the collective must now start to awaken, and this is done through the frequency of the codes. This assists with the upgrades. So looking and listening to the light codes will assist this. And they did say that all of the people that are out there are many teachers out there of this. And it's something that is going to help to shift us from the 3rd, 4th, and eventually into the 5th. But it's a really important aspect of our ascension. There are lots and lots of other things that people are doing that will help to raise their frequency, but I believe, from what I've been told, that this is a very dominant one.
Yeah, it is. I know we've talked about this before, sis, but I think we've never actually got it on video before, but you know, when you talk about light language, you know, is verbalized vibration. That's exactly what it is. And I feel like it's just another way of humanity kind of using the stepping stones in order to get to ascension. This is one of them, and it's an important one as that, because what you're learning about is vibration. And there's many ways to learn about vibration. One is the one through light and talking about it. Language is talking about vibration. You're talking about it. you're verbalizing vibration. And so it's just another way for you guys to understand that that is one stepping stone to telepathy and to understanding light itself. When I've communicated before in the past with many beings, source beings, astrals, ascended masters, whatever, it's always been through light. So there is no language, just light. And it's like, you know, your light touches their light and then it intermingles and you communicate like that. No words spoken, you know, no body language, just light speaking with light. And this is how the angelics connect. So when you talk about that, the angelics connect this way too. When I came into my awareness of the fractal incarnation of Meti, I spread my light all over Earth just so I can touch other angelics' light. And I could see like circles of it, like almost like spreading over Earth, and then it would touch another circle, and then, you know, and then it'll be another circle and another circle, and just keep on going. And it's almost like auric in some ways, you know. It's you feel it, you communicate through it, and we send and talk to each other this way, but don't realize that's what we're doing.
Well, the nice thing is that this happening at the moment. I know several children who are actually 6. They're both 6 little girls, and they both speak light language to their parents. It's happening more and more, and it's brilliant to the fact that the parents are so open, and the children just, it's normal. It is just so normal for them to speak this language.
Yeah.
And this is where it's going. This is where humanity is going. I mean, there are so many different forms of light language, but it's all down to frequency. You know, like you've just said, whether it's the angelics that you're talking to, whether it's more multi-dimensional and it's cosmic beings. Again, so many different languages out there. Arcturus, Pleiadian, Lyrian, you know, Andromedan. That goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing, is everybody seems to be wants to know what their language is when they first speak, and that's so understandable. I was the same, so understandable. And that was something I didn't really think about in the beginning, because it just came through. It wasn't until later that I realized, again, this was just like writing. I got told to write, okay, go and sit down, and you're going to speak this, and now you're going to speak that. And it was like, oh, right. And they just said, right, you can now speak any language. And it was right, okay. And I sat there in my room on my own, concentrating and speaking every language that I could think of, and out it came. And again, it was like, oh wow. And the question was, well, you know, why? And the answer was, well, you know, if I'm an activator and a catalyst, which we spoke about the other week,
which you are,
this happens through what I do with the codes.
Yes.
Because this is one of my main things, because of my frequency, because of the high vibration of Metatronic light that comes in. I needed to have multiple frequencies, which can be multiple languages, so I can work with people So if somebody comes to me, I don't necessarily, in my 3D version of me, need to know where that person's from or what that person's resonating at. But my higher self, my oversoul, my guides will know of what needs to happen with that person.
Yeah.
So therefore, I then have the ability to speak whatever language of whatever vibration, because we can have a language of Arcturus that will vibrate on a 4th or a 5th or a 6th, 11th, 12th of whatever that person needs, wherever that soul's vibration is,
Yeah.
for me to be able to pass that on and to activate her DNA, her frequency, to unlock it. So that's why I have the capability and the range of frequencies to be able to do that. And I had no idea. That was something, again, that they eventually, they drip feed.
They do. That's very true. I mean, there are a couple of things to that. The first one is obviously that me and you are related. You're my sister, and that's one element of it. And the other element of it is the fact that the origins where we come from, we are holding that vibration here. And so although it's a very watered down version, because obviously we won't be able to handle that level of vibrancy here, it's a watered down version, but we hold that vibration here too. And I feel, which we've talked about this before, that that's where your light language originates from. It originates from there. That's the source of it. And you're bringing that in. That's why I feel it activates people, and it, you know, helps people with their, you know, awakening. So that's a real big part of it, definitely.
It certainly does. And I think it's a very, like I said to you, it's a very important part of the future. I had a huge aha moment the other week, because although they've given me answers along the way, obviously not all at once, when I needed to, because I don't believe that I could have handled it, probably not all at once.
That's key. People don't realize that actually they want the information, but when it's given to them, it's like smack in the face. It's like, what? I'm not dealing with this. I'm out.
No. So you get it. It's a jigsaw puzzle, and you get the pieces when you need to get the pieces, which I thoroughly believe. Yeah. And the other week I wrote some code.
Yeah.
When I write code, I either write code which tends to go out into the quantum realm. Again, this is something that I knew that it would go out there. I just did it. Part of what I did, I didn't question it until I was writing code. I had to bring some codes in that were called the Emerald Crystal codes. And once I'd done that, it was like, right, okay, thank you very much for that. And here you go. Here's your next piece of information.
You think you're done? No, you're not.
No. So it's very, very nice when they do that. I like nothing more than information. Let me read where they actually led me.
Yeah.
They explained that the universal language of light contains 144,000 geometric symbols. It is the frequency coding that humans need to transcend third dimensional thinking. It comes to us through our higher selves and filters down to our lower 8 bodies. The language carries the divine blueprint for our individual missions that replaces the will of ego with the will of God. So that was right. Okay, brilliant. I've got that. I understand that. That's more information. But then it went on to say that the goal for Earth's ascension into the 5th dimension is to connect as many light workers to the grid as possible. And we are connected to the grid through the solar plexus area. We can focus our energy, meditate on the light, and send and receive important messages, energies, and manifestations. So the language of light is doing many things, and it is for many things. As I say, the information that they gave me is the fact that this is to help with the ascension into 5th D. It also talks about the grid and the fact of the new grid being 3 to 4 feet above the original grid. So they're saying that 3 to 4 feet above the actual Earth. So then it was the fact that I realized what the Emerald codes did. The Emerald codes and other codes that I'd always done connected the grid. And I didn't realize before the light language, before anything like that, because I've traveled a lot of places, and I used to, whenever I go somewhere, I'd walk miles. And I was connecting with my frequency grids wherever I was. And this goes back years. And this was something that, again, I was only just given. And we're talking of probably I'd been doing this for 30 years. Had no idea, not a clue. So they say that Hermes, which is obviously was Metatron, built the electromagnetic grid system several feet below the Earth, but that was in the era of Atlantis, and that grid obviously then was damaged. So this is where the new grid comes about, and this is where we come about, and also the fact of light language as well. So that it says for the first time in 10,000 years, Earth has reached a frequency that supports a new electromagnetic grid. To be built in support of the seventh golden age, and upon entering the fifth dimension, this new grid will approximately be 3 to 4 feet above the Earth's surface, and will connect the sacred sites that are already there, and will create energy fields to support the new grid. So the new grid itself will create entrances and exit points for interdimensional travel. It will facilitate communication with etheric beings. It will also facilitate communication with other initiates and enlightened people worldwide. It will generate wavelengths that uses a universal language of light to transmit messages. And it will transmit our divine blueprints for our lives' missions.
Fantastic. I love that.
So it is a multi-purpose tool, not only a multi-dimensional, multi-frequency, multi-personal tool.
Yeah, it's like one of their Swiss knives, isn't it?
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of like, father's kind of ideas. He's always very much been like that. He's very sneaky, and like looks like it's one intention, but there's like 200,000 underneath it that go with it, and it's like one looks like one purpose, but actually there's like many purposes just by that one particular action. And I feel light language is the same. Vibration is the same. It looks like it's doing one thing, but actually it's doing several million things all at the same time, but we're not aware of it. So or some are aware of it, so yeah, I love that. Isn't that cool?
I think the biggest thing is when people also first hear it or first start to either speak it, write it, whatever, because of the logical aspect that we have. Everybody is, what does it mean? What are you saying? What are you writing? But that's really, really not it. Because if it was, then we'd be speaking English.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't be this language that sounds very strange or looks very strange. Yeah,
I agree. I've been in a couple of groups where they speak light language, and it's fascinating because, as you know, I can't speak it. I choose not to is probably more accurate. But when other people talk light language and speak light language, I get a vision in my head of where it's from. I can see the being speaking it. It's pretty epic to watch. It's like a film playing in your mind. And it's almost like the origins of it. It's fantastic. I love that. So it's interesting that I've seen like maybe 6-7 different types of light language from different planets, for sure, with different beings. So it's interesting to see that because, again, it's unexpected. It's not what you expect. I wasn't expecting it. I was just, sitting back, relaxing, enjoying the light language, and all of this film starts playing in my brain. So yeah, it's fascinating, like where it comes from. So many different places. It's just incredible.
It's just dropping in packets, like I read in the beginning, packets of information. But packets of information, of light, that is so vast. It's what it's doing to us as a collective. And that's the other thing, once one person has had the activation, and it's not just one, it's multiple, it just carries on. The more light you can hold, like I said, it's a key within a key within a key. And it's about the more frequency you hold, and it goes on and on and on until you reach the pinnacle of what you can in this 3, 4th, 5th dimension. You're still, I believe, connecting with all the fractals of your oversoul. If I'm speaking to somebody, activating somebody, and they want me to speak Arcturian, and let's say it's 7th dimension, it's my aspect, my fractal that I can connect to bring that through for me to pass it on to them. So I'm pulling in all aspects of my being. Like you say, the good analogy with the Swiss Army knife. I can flick out whatever bit that I need to pull in, right. Whatever does the job
exactly
for that specific person. It gives them whatever they're needing at that point in time.
Absolutely, it becomes more tailored then, doesn't it? An individualistic approach rather than it being more of a collective thing. So yeah, I think every single dimension, every single beings in this universe and beyond hold a specific vibration, and comes with that is everything that comes with that. We're talking about their history, their knowledge, their language, all of it, and it's very different from one species to the next. So yeah, bringing in that is unique. And the other thing is that there are many of them here who can relate to it as well, and understand it and recognize it and be familiar with it, and also bring it in, because you're from there. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah, not just human, there's more to you.
I think the other aspect as well is that it's something you can't be taught, and you can't learn it. And I say that because you can't learn something that you already know.
Yeah.
So
it's remembering, isn't it? It's remembering.
Exactly, it's a remembering. Yeah. Everybody has the capability, if they want to, if it's within their soul contract to do so.
Yeah.
Because if it isn't, then no matter how, you won't speak it. But the fact of it is it's like you say, it is solely about remembering. And through the activation of it, whether it be written, spoken, sung, signed, whatever it is, will have the activation that you need for that.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's not like mine where it just comes out all in one go. For some people it'll be very gradual. They'll get the odd word here and there, or they'll write the odd symbol here and there, or they could have an awakening, like my friend, when I gave her the symbols on a card, and she just meditated and it just happened. So, but that's very much dependent on, like I said, the person's frequency and their own soul contract as well.
So I've got a couple of questions. So the first one is just like trending. So I think what would be really cool is like those that can actually write light language on people's birthday cards, regardless of who it's to. Wouldn't that be cool if we could
Yes.
start trending that
Yeah.
and get like millions and billions of people to start writing, light language messages on birthday cards to one another? Wouldn't that be so cool?
Yeah.
I love that idea. That like blows my mind. So that's one. Number two is if people are trying to, speak or allow or remember light language, how is the best way to go about that?
I think the best way to go about that is to watch. There's plenty of videos, or contact somebody who deals with light language, who can speak light language. Not everybody will be able to activate everybody, because that's down to the frequency.
Yeah.
I found that because even before light language, because I'm a catalyst and an activator naturally, because of my vibration, I catalyze people anyway. But that was way before the language ever came in. So that's why I have the capability to activate people and to help them bring that through. And I've done that with people, obviously, whether it be written or whether I'm there talking to them and helping them to get that out, to get that language out. So there are people out there who are activators. There are quite a lot of people. So if you really want to go down that route, is to find somebody who can do that, or to watch videos. There's plenty of videos on YouTube, and you could just sit there and do it that way.
I think there are so many people in your own spiritual circles that someone will know or someone will be aware of, and so it's important just to get in touch with them and say, yo, I want to learn how to do this, and you've done it, so teach me, And so we've all been down that road. I've been down that road many times. So, there's no shame or guilt or just, not knowing about it. Yes, you might be a high vibration being, but you're here to remember, and there are many ways to remember. So, and there are many, many wonderful souls that can help you with that. So don't feel, ashamed or bashful. Go for it. It will take you to a different state. So
it's an amazing thing that once it happens, because it can be used for so many things. You bring it through you can use it to bring healing and assistance to people, obviously to help with people's frequency upgrades as well. But it's amazing how many people, if you've seen people on videos with past life regression. And the other aspect is because I do that as well. So if I get to the stage where I'm lucky to bring somebody's higher self through, because I've got them at that wonderful stage, I can actually speak the light language to the higher aspect of that person. And that helps them. It helps them tremendously, helps them heal. They might even come back from that speaking it. Even sometimes when people are hypnotized and are under in those and have never spoken the language before, you do find that they are speaking it while they are being hypnotized as well. I've seen that quite a few times because it is the soul's language. It is the language of the soul, the language of the heart. So it's there, it's in there somewhere, and it's just finding those aspects to just awaken it and bring it out.
So I've got another question for you, sis, right? So there are some that are being guided to speak it and do it, and there are others that are not. Should everyone be speaking it, or does it kind of not matter that everyone speaks it? And if they don't, or if they do, what would be the purpose of it?
I think for those that don't, I mean, it's like me in the beginning. I saw it and thought it was mental and didn't, and like I said to you, put it well out of the way. Had no intention to go down that route. And for me, it just happened. So if it's meant to happen, if you've agreed in your soul contract, at some point it will happen. Definitely will happen. Not, there's free will at the end of the day. If somebody really, really doesn't want to do it, then they won't. So, you know, it's not for everybody. I mean, if you put yourself out there, and there are many on YouTube that do so and are speaking it, it does sound strange and it does look strange. So you've really got to get out of your own way to be able to do that in the beginning, or to be in a group of people and feel comfortable in actually bringing that through. So that's a big aspect of it. But those that do come to speak it, you know, if they use it within their own meditation, it helps tremendously. It helps them to connect with, you know, their oversoul, the angelics, their guides. You know, it's a fantastic aspect for that. And also the fact, the energy that you're bringing in doing it, it's healing for your own body and for all of your other energy bodies as well. For the animals, for nature. I speak to the dogs. So yeah, they understand anyway.
Of course, yeah, of course they do. I love that. I love the fact that there's such a big purpose to it. I think sometimes light language is just being seen as like vibration and listening to, you know, coded messages, I suppose, in many ways. And that's all. But it's interesting that it can be used for everything, you know, like you say, like almost like speaking it to, you know, your children or your spouse, or, you know, your animals or your plants, or, you know, even to, you know, like the ones that you connect with your higher self, you know, your angelic connection or ascended master connection or source being connection, whatever it might be for you. I think it's wonderful. It has such a versatile use for it. And then also, like you say, it's an activator as well, doesn't it? It catalyzes people into their awakening as well. I love it. It's like a multi-purpose tool, isn't it? It's brilliant.
It is. You've just got to get out of your own way with it, because I mean, in a group, I helped bring a language through for somebody.
Yeah.
And when eventually she managed to bring it through, it was such a connection, because we were talking to each other in light language.
Yeah.
And it was like I'd literally met a very old friend.
Yeah.
And we knew each other and we were talking each other. As human beings, we had not got a clue what we were saying, but we were having a full-blown conversation in light language to each other. It's our higher aspects, our souls, our, you know, whether it be our multi-dimensional aspects, our cosmic aspects, or, you know, people talk to each other in it.
Absolutely.
You've just really got to get out of the fact that you as a human don't understand it. Sometimes you get the feeling of a few words and a few meanings, but we're not meant to bring it into the logical aspect. And people don't understand and can't get their head around that fact. And I say it's because in the English language, we have, let's take one word. We can have one word that has so many interpretations, one word. And that's dependent on how you say it as well. So you could have that word and you could say it to 10 different people. And the expression and your voice, that word would be picked up differently to each and everybody.
Vibration.
So that's why we can't do that with the light language, because we can't pick it apart, because we don't understand it on the logical aspect. Our soul does. That knows exactly the information that it's receiving. So we don't get in our own way that way. So we can't. So it's done for a reason. It's very purposeful. And as long as you realize that you don't need to know what you're saying, what you're bringing through, just the fact of if you understand the actual experience and what it's doing and how it works.
It's brilliant. I love that. Cool. I think we'll end it there, sis. Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot for somebody to take in.
It is a lot for someone else to take in, yes, and you know, it's a very important start to understanding it for sure. So, and I like the way you described it. So, yeah, thank you for
Well, I
that.
hope that helps for somebody that sees this video and gives some information. Like I said, I was looking for the information in the beginning for a very long time, but like, I want to say that this is my information. What it does for me, my perspective may be completely different from for somebody else. This is specific to me, and like I said, also what I've explained on a general level as well.
Yeah. I also think it crosses barriers, isn't it?
Yes.
I know you're saying it's your experience, and I get that, but also think that many will be also experiencing similar in the same ways and having similar, you know, experiences. So
Yeah, exactly.
it'd be nice for them to identify with that and go, you know what, it's all right. I'm not going nuts.
Yeah,
It's all right.
exactly. You're not as mad as you think you are.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. Okay,
Right.
that's
Brilliant.
great. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you, Nilesh. Speak
Lovely.
soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.